I've just been thinking of all the reasons I would fall in love. I don't know why, but here's what I can say. I can say. Do I love you? Oh my, do I? Honey, indeed I do. Baby, you know it's true. And do I?
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to be assembled. Others will be joining as they get the link to work and whatnot. I'm excited about this session. This is going to be a fun session for me. I get to do something different and stretch out of my comfort zone, but that's okay. I hope I can rise to the challenge. So what we're going to do is, you see I've spotlighted, and I don't know if you've got spotlight view, I've spotlighted our panelists here are the folks that drove out the sessions. We have Steve Skolnick from marketing, we have Terry Reynolds from VP Music, and we have the combined forces of Katie and Christian. They're like the Wonder Twins, they just get it going. And so anyway, so here we are, we're all together, and I have a prepared speech. It's only about a couple 8 hours long. It's only like 30 pages. No, it's not really. So let me just sort of get this going. This is going to be a panel session, so we're going to actually toss around some ideas. So let me just read what I've got here, because when I wrote it, it sort of made sense to me. So while we were in our individual sessions, you focus on your own tower, right? We talked to Steve about marketing. It's impossible to talk about any one of these topics, as you know, right? Can't talk about membership without touching on marketing, or can't talk about marketing and not touch on music or membership, right? So it's always the way it is. There's always a balance between the points of, like, marketing. Marketing is usually external, right? We want to do stuff externally, but then the audience is performance is for performances. We want to get performances, we want to sell our singing, or we want to get members or singers. And there's other stuff too. Membership is outwardly focused usually, and then there's an inward focus. There's like the kind of seek, intake, and support through their lifetime of their singing career with us. Music is charged with finding music that's singable by the chapter, that's entertaining to audiences, and can be used as a vehicle for teaching singing skills. I mean, these are all facets, and this I'm touching on, right? So this is certainly not comprehensive. Those are just some attributes, right? But this session is a way that we can talk about some things, like, for instance, what we can do together as and here's a jargon thing, right? All corporate American people know this, right? The high performance team. Well, team, we talk about teamwork and leadership in all of our in all of our sessions, right? Because it's all about leading the chapter, and doing servant leadership is an excellent topic. A lot of great books written on that. How do we support everyone? But this session is all about, now that your guys are together, now that we've learned what each of our individual towers are, we've learned something new about individually. Now what do we do when we combine forces? Like I mentioned, the Wonder Twins here, but when the three of you come together to do deeper, more advanced level things, maybe that's a new concept for you, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is, I have a set of kind of topics and questions and thoughts here that I've written down, and in no particular order. We're just going to sort of lead out with a couple of things here. So I'll read a kind of, like, if you think about like a kind of a presidential year debate kind of a thing, sort of, I'll be the moderator as well, and I'll sort of heckle when I can. But Terry, this first topic is going to be really VP of Music focused, and I just have to say this to everyone else as well. And geez, I hope I'm not muted. Okay, good. So after all that, yeah, someone would have told me, I'm sure. This session is for you, the people who are in these positions. It's not for the moderators. It's not for the moderator. It's not for me. I'm going to stop talking soon. It's not for the people who are the instructors or the panelists. Okay, this is for the chapters. So engaging content, engaging conversation. That's what we need. So Terry, coming your way. So there's no need to say this. We want to tee this up, though. The chapter's music program is critical for singing organizations, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? It's obvious. VP of music and the music team need the secretary and treasurer to, buy music and learning tracks and other supplies as necessary, and to register for events. All right, we get that, right? So we know how that is. So what do you need from the other VPs of marketing, membership? There's a two-part question here. What would you think? What's your opinion of what do you need from the other VPs from membership and marketing and program, really, too? So that actually we didn't have a programming section. And what, in your opinion, do you need to support the other VPs? What kinds of things can you think of?
So certainly particularly from program and membership, it's an ongoing relationship and understanding of, because you've got combined processes. You're planning the weekly rehearsal with program. So you need to have a regular process and keep the communication flowing back and forth. And if things aren't working, work together to how you're going to communicate better to make that program work. Membership, in particular, the handoff between if you have a vocal assessment or an audition process, the handoff from the person being greeted at the door and getting the information from membership to understanding what the music process is and the handing off and communication for that. Lots of chapters do that as a well-oiled machine, and sometimes members get lost between the handoff between the members of the music team. So fully understanding and being on the same page as to what that process is, and sharing feedback as to often, we found over the years that we thought we had a well-oiled machine, but the membership guy comes back and says, that the guys are telling me they're confused about this, so we had to work our communication a little better. So keeping that flowing. Certainly when you get to if you're having membership nights, or if you're doing a Christmas course or something like that, now you got music, membership, and marketing that all have to work together. Everybody has to understand the point of the outreach and the type of member that you're trying to bring in, and the details, so it can be sold together.
Can we just pause there for 1 second? Because one interesting thing. So we love to think everything is rosy and wonderful, and everyone in chapter leadership is just holding hands and whispering down the lane together. But there may be times where musical leadership and membership leadership want to take those precious hours of chapter meeting time or rehearsal time and use them for different purposes. So one of the things that I've experienced over the years is I had to learn early on that I was very ambitious on membership. Surprise there. And I would want to use a lot of those precious hours for recruiting or guest nights or whatever it is. And finally, our director would be like, dude, love you. And yeah, I want more singers, but we have a big performance coming up. So have you come across that kind of, how do you strike that balance between, yes, we want to keep the shelves stocked and focus on recruiting types of events, but at the same time, we need to move our product together, our musical product forward?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it comes down to both communication and planning. I mean, where the music team is going to hope that the membership doesn't come in with a week's notice and say, hey, I need half the rehearsal next week. So it's, you're planning in advance, so the music team knows. I generally ask that any VP that needs additional rehearsal time give several weeks notice, so the music team can adjust, either negotiate them to another week or adjust as necessary to the planning if we've got something, a rehearsal, a performance or something coming up. But the other general thing on the topic is the music team. We're a music organization, we're the music team, so sometimes we forget that we need to communicate to the other leaders because it impacts their job. So having that communication on a regular basis at board meetings or others about the plans of the music team, and listening to other folks to what's going on.
So I hear that, I hear 360-degree feedback, right? So there's communicating out, but also receiving feedback, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what I was going to say is, especially with a Ready, Set, Sing program, I mean, that really hits on all of our areas. You certainly need the whole marketing package set up. You need the music team bought in and programmed in, and that's a membership drive primarily. So, you know, that seems to be our most successful membership drive, and yet that hits on all of us.
Yeah, and Terry, coming back at you again, kind of a tangent off of all of that. And one of the things we're looking at, so Hunterdon right now has a men's chorus. We've just started Vocal Synergy, a mixed chorus, and we're at a crossroads where Don Reckenbiel, love Don, is retiring. We have a new director coming in. So both choruses are kind of at the precipice of newness, and we've got the opportunity to revisit who we are, what we're about, vision, all that cool stuff. When it comes to the type of people that we're recruiting, I'm not quite so sure what that is or what that should be. We'll hear some choruses like, I want to recruit singers, meaning you want people who are already established and comfortable as singers, whereas other choruses like Hunterdon, the harmonizers in the past, have been a teaching chorus. We can take you from the shower to stage. I don't know if that's still a thing. Do you have any guidance, and maybe you touched on this in your music class, but that's just such a core piece, because once you let someone in, it's kind of hard to let them back out. So how do you decide what that should be?
Well, number one, your chapter should have some sort of mission statement and guidance and discussion about who you are as a chapter, which will drive the music team's decision about who you want to bring in. And then if there's any more detail about who you want to target or the level you want to target or not target, that's just additional communication between the music team and membership team.
Yeah, certainly the guys that have taken my class, certainly know it's one of the earliest slides in my deck is talking about who you are and who you want to be, and that they're not necessarily the same thing. But you need to figure out, what you want to be, what your mission is, whether it's an official mission statement or not. You still need to know who you want to be in the future and what defines you. And that's not always what the leadership thinks it is.
Yeah, then
we
Katie's
found
got
out
a great.
in Voices of Gotham.
Katie's got a. I'd like to hear, because Parkside. I mean, it's what, Melody's 3 years, 4 years, 3 years old.
3-ish, yeah. 3-ish.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a relatively new thing for you guys as well. How have you dealt with that? Because you're interesting, because you're a director, but you're also part of everything going on in the group.
Yeah, it's I would say, like, aside from your culture and your musical goals being super obvious when people coming in, honestly, the amount of effort that they're going to have to put into the chapter should be reflected in the audition, so they can make a decision like, is this the right place for me? Because our audition process is hard. I would say it's really hard, and that is on purpose, and so as long as you know what you're doing and you're all okay with that, that's the best part. You just have to be like totally in that. And yeah.
So I have a question then. Your process, do you have that, do you have it written down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That should be fine to share, because y'all just pretend you're auditioning for Parkside, and I can share that document, honestly. Okay. And you can kind of see the process.
Let me ask you that. Any of these processes, as we talk about and whatnot, and raise your hand do you get it right the first time, or do you have to revise it sometimes?
That's why we do Google Docs, and we update it all the time. Yes.
I'm going to share my screen for a second. Has anybody ever seen the Plan, Do, Check, Act wheel? You know what I'm talking about there? No one in corporate America has ever seen that, right? Peter, Edwards, I forget the fellow's name. Edward, it's not Deming. Anyway, I forget how his name goes. It's a weird first name, but anyway, plan what you're doing. Make a plan, write it down if you can, right? Do, check, and act. That's that 360-degree cycle that Terry was alluding to as well. Hey, you're going to try this music program this year, and then let's see how that went. Survey, maybe something like that or whatever, and then make adjustments, all in the hopes of continuous improvement. This is something that at Merck we live by. Where I work, so they drive that into you pretty hard. But we don't get it right the first time, do we?
Yeah. Go ahead, Kate.
Oh no, and especially when Parkside had, or when everybody had to do a virtual audition version and then to a live one. the amount of mistakes we made on our first one back was funny. So yeah, it's always growing, and that's fine. And that's fine. Just have a updated as of bleh date always, and stick to it always. Yep.
So I put in the chat. So this is, you've got a very lively panel. So if you are watching along at home, please feel free to jump into the chat. If there's something that you want to throw in and pick our brains on, we can talk for probably 4 or 5 days without breathing. So feel free to jump in, and we'll make sure we get the discussion going where you want it to go. So on the marketing side, so just kind of circling back a little bit, Steve, and if you can share with the membership and the music folks that weren't on your slide 2 or 3, whatever that was, how does our decision on what type of person we're targeting impact your membership marketing strategy?
Well, I mean, it really does a lot, because if you decide that you want to be, that you're a bunch of 70-year-olds to 80-year-olds, and you're real happy there, that you just want to hang out and chill and, sing with the guys and show up on Tuesday night, that's really cool. You can do that, but you're probably going to be a daytime chorus, and you're probably going to be singing different music than Parkside singing, right? So it very much impacts, and certainly I talk about pools of fishing, so whether you're marketing or your membership, we're going out for people and we're fishing in a pool, and the pool changes depending on what your target is, right? So the pool for Parkside or for Gotham is going to be much different than the pool for a Somerset, or Hunterdon.
And one thing I wanted to add there is in that membership marketing, be true to who you are or who you're aspiring to be. Right. Don't mislead, because one thing could happen is you do get the guests to come by, and let's say you represented yourself to be at a very high caliber of singing, which is cool. So on your marketing, you put in like vocal majority singing or whatever it is. Someone comes into your audition and it's like 7 people, and there's just not a great sound. That person's not only probably going to not be interested in your group, they might not be interested in barbershop at all. So we just need to be true to it. And I will call out a recent example. We were just researching Meetup this week. We are very excited to pursue Meetup. We heard in our session, and we're like, let's give it a shot. Our mantra is fearless leadership this year. So it's like, okay, it's just some time and effort. Let's give it a shot and see where it goes. So I was looking to see what other groups are on Meetup, and my friends down the street in Brothers in Harmony, who are great, and they're continuing to work. If you look at their Meetup, it's an impressive picture. It's a portion of the chorus, and there's like 70 guys, like 60 or 70 guys. And I'm just like, wow, if I look at that on Meetup, I'd be like, that looks cool. If I showed up this week, do you think I'm going to see 60 or 70 guys, and it was a rehearsal photo, in action singing? Yeah. No, we're not. Yeah. It's a pandemic. They don't have that staff. So my suggestion is just be representing what that experience is going to be now, not what it was before. Not what you're hoping it would be in the future, but right. Trust that these people are going to go along with whatever that vision's going to be.
I mean, the other thing, the other side of that's you certainly need to represent who you are accurately to the public. But when we started Voices of Gotham, we thought, okay, we're going to be an a cappella chorus that has 2 barbershop songs to sing for contests. And we were, we never got past 17, 18 people. And then we did a rebranding 2.5 years in, did some deep surveying of the membership, and realized the members didn't want to sing with an a cappella chorus. That if they wanted to sing with an a cappella chorus, they would have sung with an a cappella chorus. They wanted to sing with a barbershop chorus. And once we realigned with the goals of our members, right there, it's not just representing, but aligning with the goals of your members. Once we aligned with the goals of our members, we quickly grew to 60 singers. So you gotta, everything needs to be going down the same path.
Sure. Hey, okay, cool. So, so we're going to do something a little different now. It's out of order from the sheet that I had sent earlier, but I'm not hearing anything from anyone else aside from our panel. And to Christian's point, so I have a question for everyone for all chapters, any and all chapter. Just take yourself off of mute and have you ever, or show by show of hands, but I want to hear about this. Tell me a little bit about your struggle with being your area's best kept secret. Is anybody a best kept secret like our chorus is, right? Raise your hands. You feel like that? Tell me, I want to hear from chapters. Now, what are you doing about that, or what can you do about that? And I guess the crux is that like marketing's fault? Is it their problem only? Or why do you think, or why not think? Anyone?
Always marketing's fault.
It's always marketing's fault, right? Thanks. Any chapter, come off of mute. I want to hear from you.
Be careful. Rob's going to start picking on people that
I
are not
will.
on the panel,
I'll unmute you.
especially if you don't have your video on.
York has their name.
York, go ahead.
Is this of the four of us?
Scott.
I'll talk for a minute or three. I'm actually a member and officer of two chapters, York and Harrisburg. And I know there's some other people from both those chapters on here. And it's hard to find, because both these chapters back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s were putting 60, 80, 90 plus members on the stage for performance and so forth. We're now both putting on between 15 and 20, 25 members.
Right.
And it's real hard. We had a open house about 2 months ago in Harrisburg and got more people coming in as guests as we had members. So far out of those 18 guests, we've been able to get 2 of them to come back on a regular basis. I know our membership Harrisburg person is on here also, and I know she reaches out on a regular basis to try to figure out what we can do to get in there. And from a marketing standpoint, we hear lots of good words and things to do, but to try to get them, to try to get them into action and so forth is pretty difficult. And I'm not sure, that's just one piece of the puzzle. Trying to get people to come in and do a rehearsal. And we don't actually do an audition per se, but we do an evaluation, because audition sounds really dirty. You know what I mean? So especially for 50, 60-year-old member coming in, they don't want to audition. They want to be part, but there's ways to evaluate whether they're going to be able to be a productive part or an unproductive part of it, without going through a 3 or 4 or 5 step process to determine whether or not you can sing at an A level. At this stage of the game, we're not looking for A level. We're looking for good, solid B level people or C plus people that we can develop into B people. So
got it. So
from my point of view, it's
do you
hard.
feel like you're a secret though?
Find this.
Is that a secret, or do everyone know that you're looking for that?
Well, that's part of the problem. No, I do think we're a secret, and
There you go.
We tried to meet up trick and didn't have a whole lot of success with that. We tried to ready set sing.
Right.
Had moderate success with that, but
Okay.
It's really hard. We're trying to reach out, and we're not sure what the right tools are to make that happen.
So let me ask you about your pools. What pools are you fishing in, to Steve's point?
What pools? Well, I mean, we're using a lot of the different social media that's available out there. We've reached out to different choral groups. We've offered to do a lot of sing outs. In fact, one of the things I'm hoping is going to happen now that things are opening up a little bit, I'm trying to meet with corporate entities and try to establish different sponsorships. And hopefully one of the return things that we would do for sponsors is go to their different events and perform for them, and hopefully with the idea of getting new audience people that say, hey, that's pretty good stuff, But I got to tell you, I'd rather listen to a course with 70 people than I would in a course with 12 people, which presents, another piece of the problem.
It
And a
depends
lot
on
of other people feel the same way.
depends on the 12 people. If it's like, straight no chaser, that's fine. Right?
Well, yeah, but we don't have any of those members in our
Right.
course.
So I'd almost like to take where Scott started this at his Ready Set saying that produced a lot of people and then maybe fell apart from there. I'd love to hear from Christian and Terry about maybe and Katie about how, okay, marketing delivered. Maybe they didn't deliver the right message, right? But how do we convert the people that walked in the door?
Conversions.
Yeah, I mean, I start off my chats with, is your house in order?
Christian, hold on a second. Sorry. Let's hear from Terry first.
Yes. Okay.
Waiting to hear from Christian first. No,
Sorry. Just
from my perspective, it's very important if you're going to do a program like Ready, Set, Sing that bring people in, that you understand what you're targeting for. And I know a lot of those programs, they tell you're better off to soft pedal to not push too much. It's mainly get them aware of you but be ready to pounce when they show interest. And exactly what the right balance of that, I'll defer to Christian. But the music team has to be ready to fully support the program to make sure it's a positive experience and make sure that that they're exposed to what that you're all ready to make offers if there's interest in joining.
the intake is ready. The intake engine is ready.
Well, and to make sure that the program you're offering, there's a focus on it to make it a positive experience.
There you go. Go ahead,
So
Christian.
I'll speak from two areas. One, in theory, which I love teaching, and then reality of what I experienced. We've done Ready, Set, Sing, and Rusty's here with us today, and he can speak on this too. We've done numerous Ready, Set, Sing programs with varying degrees of success because of the theory that I'm going to share with you is I talk about getting your house in order. So are you ready to receive guests? How's your repertoire? What's that experience like? Whether it's Ready, Set, Sing or something else that gets somebody in the door, do you have a climate set? So if you have a viable candidate, they're going to come back next week. The other part of it, so the experience that we had, our first Ready, Set, Sing, wildly successful, phenomenal. And we were hoping, so we got a little arrogant after our first one, like, we got this, like, we'll just do the Ready, Set, Sing and people will show up. The second one we did kind of like right around now, winter, snow, cold, we didn't have a big take up and we didn't market it. We kind of took our foot off the gas and didn't do the things that we should do. So the people we got, we're kind of like, eh. And then other Ready, Set, Sings, we didn't follow up. We didn't follow up. So we had like 10, 15, 20 students, whatever it was, and we had this great send off and we had the invitation at the end, like, hey, you learned these skills, come sing with us. And we never got a hold of them. Like, but that was us. I mean, that's what we did. We had other things and we just kind of moved on and we didn't execute. So to kind of prevent that, if you're going to do something, go all in, really, really dedicate yourself to it. Don't plan on doing a Ready, Set, Sing if that's what you want to do in 2 weeks. It might take you 3 or 4 months to get the house ready.
Right.
So you're ready to receive the people and get them in, and then have the plan for the follow-up and the execution after. So one of the things we were good with was trying to plan a performance that would be right after graduation. So not only would they enjoy graduation, but we're like, hey, you can join us on stage for that one song. Just find yourself a solid color polo shirt and a pair of khakis or whatever it is, and we'll put you on stage with us and you can sing. So that worked with, it might have been 5% of the students, but we converted those people. We got them in the door.
That's the whole kind of like a place on the risers for you. Come on, y'all come, right? Anybody else actually in any other chapter have a Ready, Set, Sing experience that they want to share? Tried it once, it failed, tried it again, and it worked better? Anyone?
Well, if I could add something to Christian's comment.
Sure.
The last one we had, we actually had a very good turnout. Most of it was ladies, and we did not have a home for them.
We had that too.
We hooked them up with various other organizations in the area, but we had no home for them, and that was part of the motivation with us expanding to have. Now we have vocal synergy. Everybody has a place on the risers.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to follow up on one comment Terry made earlier about Ready, Set, Sing. When people come in, it's got to be comfortable, got to be something that they can really live with. Now, the music we generally sing for Ready, Set, Sing isn't too complicated. It's something they can sing, they can enjoy, they can feel comfortable with. Then when they join the chorus, they get our real repertoire. This can be a problem because some of our stuff expands beyond what they think it might be. I know that when I joined the society, I was hooked into singing Nelly with 3 guys who were at a picnic. Oh man, the hook set. The sound that we make with a homophonic sort of music is beautiful. I would suggest that maybe we use debate as the day food. In other words, like simple songs that we can enjoy, that everybody can sing. You do not need a tenor athlete to sing baritone. It might be more enjoyable for our people, which affects retention and membership.
Right. Those are good points.
Katie, you have any comments on this topic? No. Scott, I'm curious. So the stuff we discussed, can you look back on your Ready, Set, Sing, which may or not, converting 2 people, to me, you got 2 more singers. So it wasn't a failure, right?
Okay, well, that was not the Ready, Set, Sing. That was actually an open house that was done very, very well by our music and membership team.
Whatever you did, if you got 2 new singers, that's fabulous.
I get that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, is there stuff on your
when you have 18 show up and you get 2, I know that's 10% or 11%, but that was Harrisburg. I also, like I said, sing with York, and we've been really challenged, especially during the pandemic, to even get people come to a rehearsal, much less trying new marketing strategies and so forth, which we are, and hopefully we'll get better at it. And we're trying some other things that I'm not at liberty to talk about right now, but hopefully in 3 or 4 months we will have some results as a result of that. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
So
just keep trying stuff.
Oh, Ernie. Well, I'm not sure that's Ernie, but
Ernie and then Larry. I see Larry's giving me the finger over there.
That's Larry.
This one though.
So Ernie's computer, if you can come off mute and jump in. Yeah,
that's usually helpful.
I learned that one earlier today.
Yeah, it helps us hear you better.
Right.
There we go.
Okay, I'm Judy, and I'm from Keystone Capital Chorus, as is Larry and Scott of 2. When we had our open house, I think everybody felt it was very successful. One of the things our director did was probably what most people do. We had everybody in the sitting down and singing with us and so on. But then the great part was our director put everybody on the risers, the existing members and the 17 new people to the chorus that day. And they loved it. They really loved it. And then, of course, as membership, I followed up with every single person that came. And we got the 2. We have 2 more that are very interested. And, we'll kind of go from there. We're going to be planning another open house. But, anytime somebody would come just to visit, like the other night we had people coming, I follow up with them with an email or a phone call or whatever. And I've had people that can't come still say they appreciate the follow-up and so on. But getting the people on the risers, I think, was a great idea from our director. Okay.
Good.
Now I'll mute myself.
So, actually, it occurs to me, right? So I've got a couple of different things and thoughts, and I want to go to another thought, and I was going to say, I'd like to sort of change gears a little bit, or, go to a different topic, but it's not really going to land on a different topic. It's going to be kind of an extension, but just with a different color. Let me just sort of do this. Oh, okay.
If you can pause for 1 second,
I'm getting a coach here coaching.
No, I didn't want, because I'll lose it. I won't remember that I wanted to say something.
It's okay. I know. It's okay. You're getting older. We're all getting older.
So much going on in here. Best kept secret. One of the things I'll impress upon you, if you have a serviceable quartet or the ensemble, the whole chorus can go out, get out and sing. Of course, pandemic protocols and all that factored in, but get out and sing. And it might not be the traditional things you're thinking of. We just had a thing come in today. I'm not sure we'll be able to do it, but we have a local high school student who is in the Olympics, and they're having a kickoff at a local brewery. And the thought was like, what if we sing the national anthem? Like, there's nobody planning on a national anthem, but we just need 4 people on a pitch pipe and boom, instant national anthem. And like, what better way to kick off an event? So how do you get yourself known? It's little things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the 100 Harmonizers, here's a quartet to sing the national anthem. And they're like, oh, wow, that was cool. It's different. So get out into your community and get known. And I think that for our group, that has been wildly successful. We are pretty well known. I like to think we're not at least within 10 miles of Flemington. We're very well known. So get out and sing.
Okay. Good. That's good. That's awesome. Okay. So Katie, this is going to come your way, and this is going to be your topic. And then I'm going to actually, Tracy, be ready. You'll see how it connects. Membership, right? So when we talk about membership, and, usually that kind of focus is on seeking singers and managing the way we welcome guests, the way we help them understand. We've talked about that a little bit, what we're doing, help them understand what we're doing and how we are singing, why we're singing the way we are, getting them connected with music, maybe a riser buddy, something like that. But I want to talk a little bit about the role of membership, your VP of membership. Most of our chapters have a vision and a mission and we want to sing better and we want to have fun and fellowship, right? Does everybody know their vision and mission statements in their chapters on their boards? Do you review it? No, I think probably not. But they're all very similar, right? It's like, we want to be the best singing chapter and just have a whole bunch of fun, right? So Katie, though, can you tell me what you guys are doing for two points? Again, outward and inward focus, but what do you do with the inward focus, right, to support the singers with both objectives of singing and social, and how do you balance the two? And then what methods do you think we need to develop as singers to help singers feel that they're valued, connected, able to contribute their best, both vocally and with other volunteering as well? You can sort of talk about that kind of area a little bit.
Yeah, you just wrapped up everything that we do into one. Okay, let's see. So it's essentially how are you going to make the way I translate that, what Rob just said is how are you going to make people happy and how are you going to make them feel safe and secure enough to take musical risks, to take social risks, to just be excited about being there. The first and foremost thing, whatever y'all's process is of a new person coming in, it can vary in the degrees of intensity, like we were talking about, but all that matters is how you make that person feel, truly, every single time, because they're not going to remember what they did. They won't. They're going to be overwhelmed their first time, especially if they've never heard barbershop before. Right. We're all weirdos, fam. Listen, we're in a weird hobby. We need to understand that. So when we've got noobs, they're like, what is this? So if we don't hold their hand through this and kind of explain the voice parts and what a tag is and what the director's doing and what that dial or lingo means, they're not coming back. Just they're not. They're going to feel like complete outcasts. So knowing the guest beforehand, having them take a survey of some sort, honestly, to see where they are. Are they a barbershopper? Do we need to explain the voice parts or not? And that's not vetting them necessarily. It's making sure that you give them the best experience possible. So starting with that, making sure that they feel like they could
ask someone questions, like making sure they have that point person. Oh my gosh, truly, you're going to be set up for so much more success. And then like socially, that means they've met a bunch of people. If you're setting them up for success of like, oh, I know I go to Chris for questions on my guest process. And then when I want to audition, I go to Jill. Like that's the process that you have to continually line up for them, like constantly. So, and then once they're passed and in, or whatever the process is, the social, and Rob, just to clarify, you mean like just the social fun side of a chapter, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Barbershop is aside from like me and Christian, who decided to become a board member, like no one does this full time. For the most part. So this is a hobby for a lot of people. And we already have they come from the music, stay for the fellowship quote from Mr. Freddie King. So we all know this is a fun thing. And if you don't prioritize that as much as the singing, you bye. Like, and that's, and there's the thing is, again, it varies completely. Whether your chapter is an afterglow after rehearsal culture, pandemic depending, like, please don't ever like give that less attention than the music and the like administrative side of everything. Truly, it's that social side is why we do this, because it's fun. Like none of us are getting paid to do this. None of us. Like it's got to be fun.
Hey, Katie, if we're having fun, like while we're singing a song and while we're there together, it's a team sport, right? We're all singing as a team, squadron of quartet, or is it okay to smile when we sing?
Oh my God. Yeah, for real. Here's the thing though, as leaders on this call, I'm gonna say if you're not seeing smiling, that should be some talking. And okay, thank you, Rob. You've segued myself into my own point. Another thing that you really should be able to do very much on the feedbacks is really just feedback from your members. Holy crap. I have like a ton of resources that go into how to gather feedback. And guess what? I stole it from Gotham. Thanks, Steve. Rafi told me about it and I absolutely love it. And I've passed it along. The pulse check.
Pulse check.
Truly.
I wasn't in Gotham then, but yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Fabulous.
And Tracy also has a way. I want Tracy to tell us about what you do for feedback.
Yeah.
You've kind of become everyone's mother, I think,
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Oh no.
While she's working on that. So the other thing that Katie, on your other point, is the hardest thing, and I guess something that we developed in Gotham that I know you guys have stolen, is that intake link. Because I think the hardest thing as a barbershopper, hardest thing as a prospective member, is to do a Google search and walk through the door. Right? So that's really hard if you don't know anybody.
Right.
So by having that intake link that says, I'm interested, I'm going to come to your rehearsal, now that membership person, everybody on our team has information about, that person going to walk in the door, and they know they're not walking in the door saying, oh, who do I talk to? They know I got to find Katie.
Right.
Or I got to find, and Terry on the music team knows what part they think they're going to sing. So
interesting. Let's see if we have Tracy with us, and then we'll come back up to you, Katie. I think Tracy might be going to Christian's computer. I think that'll work better.
Yeah, that's true.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just do it, Tracy. Go.
Look what I found.
So
it's hilarious.
So me being motherly, is that what you were saying, Rob?
No, well, I didn't call you a mother. No, I didn't.
Hands over my shoulder.
No. Yeah, right. Exactly. Let's see what you're working on there, Christian. No, what I mean by that is I know that you've taken an approach with, your chorus members about reaching out to them. And I think you have a very interesting outreach I'd like you to just talk about to make sure they're supported.
Yeah, I do. Well, I did steal the pulse check from Katie, who stole it from Gotham. I use it regularly, and I appreciate that. I've made changes every week. I would say that the person that you have out front, make sure they're innately aware. that they're an aware person. You can't train that. You can't teach that. And if you have that person that doesn't know that they're not realizing that people aren't okay, you can't train that, really. It just has to be someone that just knows that innately. I happen to be one of those people that just worries about everybody all the time, I guess.
There, see, there. That was the mother comment, right?
But it is.
It is
so
true.
what did
So-
Colleen say to you today?
Yeah, yeah.
So our executive vice
So
president.
I had a call from, I had texted someone today as just an example. I had texted someone and said, hey, how you doing? I hope work slowed down. I hope to see you Wednesday. We're going to be back in person. That was it. She called me, ended up telling me that her husband died 2 years ago, that she's having trouble at work. And she says, my friend said, the other one says to me, you missed your calling. You should have been therapist or yeah, you should have been a therapist. So
That's funny.
I don't know why, but people tend to come to me, but I do reach out and I just say a text or a call or just catch up and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. We're looking forward to seeing you. How's it going? What's going on? And I just think it's important.
That raises an interesting thing that I just had this thought of, right? I mean, I've read some books about like emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and I'm going to mess this up when I say this, but our singing organizations are different now because we're everyone in harmony. And this isn't, I'm going to try and not trip on myself, but right. So men are from Mars, women from Venus, right? That whole thing. We're sort of think different. Men singing together, and we're expressing and emoting and all that kind of stuff. But men we have a way, and women are typically more feeling. Now that's not a hard and fast rule, but we know this. That's why, we behave differently, right? So as we build out choruses that actually are mixed personality types, or we have a women's chorus and a men's chorus and whatnot, the feeling and the mood and the expression of feelings, I think that becomes important to acknowledge, receive, acknowledge, embrace, right, as we work through how to express those feelings and to validate each other, right, as we sing together, right? Does that make sense, or is that stupid?
Well, I'm gonna challenge you that I don't, to an extent perhaps, but she'll probably tell you when she talks to the guys versus the women. I mean, yes, maybe the women are more comfortable talking with her, but I'll tell you that when the pandemic hit and we went in hibernation for a bit and we saw there were people that we weren't seeing online, to be honest, we didn't know if they were alive. So we started making phone calls, and between Tracy and I, we started going through the list. The average call for me was an hour. At least. I mean, there was so much emotional things. We were going through such a tough period when men and women alike, having that genuine, sincere connection was big. And I think for us, we've had a core that's made it through the pandemic so far. Sure. So I think just that element that Tracy's bringing of like, when she asks, how are you? It's not just like token Jersey of like, how are you? I really don't care. Please don't answer in more than 2 words. She's like, no, seriously, like, how are you? Except for Steve. When she asks Steve, she just wants to hear like, fine. But everybody else, it is genuine and sincere.
Well, okay, all right. I can be challenged. I'll accept that. That's fine. That's good. Let me ask other chapters. Again, we have a lot of chapters represented here. How do you reach out to your membership to support them? Do you do a similar thing? Do you have a feedback cycle, and are in touch with people who aren't there? Can you describe what some of you've done that you found this worked? Anyone? Come off of mute. There you go.
And you can use chat too.
Judy, again, use chat. It's fine.
Yep.
Go ahead, Judy. Oh, can't hear you. Sorry. Yeah, you go.
Okay, in our chapter, we had something called a KISS alert. And what it was, keep it simple, stupid. What it was at the end of the rehearsal, within a couple of days, we had like a summary of the previous rehearsal. And in that, towards the end, they put down anyone who was sick, what was the problem.
Okay.
Somebody's wife was sick, that what was the problem, somebody's husband. And it gave you the opportunity, well, as membership, I did this all the time, but it gave anybody the opportunity to call them or email them or ask them, what might be needed before they come back, or, that sort of thing. And I think I have found it extremely successful as far as people coming back and people being appreciative of, of your reaching out, but having it in written form in the beginning was very helpful.
Okay, Larry Miller, go ahead.
One of the things that I guess this is bringing up in my mind is when we bring people in as guests, we usually have some kind of a form that they fill out, a little bit of personal information. And I think it would be advantageous to always look at the people, what they do for a living, if they're administrators and so forth. One of the problems that I see in our chapter is that we only have a few people that do everything. And so we need to not only get singers in the chapter, but we need to have people that can go out and do some of this stuff that needs to be done to build a chapter. I have people.
You're on mute, Larry. It just went on mute. Sorry. I don't know why.
I have people that wanted to serve on my committee, but don't come to the meetings. Now, I haven't had too many meetings recently, but they don't do any particular jobs. But I remember Katie said in one of the last later sessions about putting people to work right away, and giving them one job, and that struck a chord with me, because we have too many people in the chapter that are doing 6 or 7 jobs.
Yep.
And others that are doing nothing. So
I don't know. I got hooked in pretty early. Second week, I was VP of marketing and VP of membership.
well, if you
Nerd.
read their profile, you can should be able to pretty well tell what people are capable of doing, of handling, what kind of jobs they're capable of handling.
Sort of a skills register, we would call that, right?
Yeah.
Or something,
Yeah.
right? Kind of like an inventory. Scott, go ahead.
I want to back up to the original question. I know particularly in New York, Judy and Larry are covering Harrisburg pretty well right now. But in New York, I know David and I, on a weekly basis, calling people who do not show up, find out if, and we do have, some older members who are having physical issues and so forth. But the fact is we are contacting them on a regular basis and letting them know, that we do miss them, that we do care about them, and we're hoping they're going to be coming back. So I know that's starting to slowly work, but so that kind of handles our existing members. So that kind of addresses the original question. So we are personally reaching out and talking to the members who are not making it to rehearsals on a weekly basis, just to make sure that they're okay, kind of going back to what Katie was talking about, or maybe it was Tracy, making sure that they're okay, and that we are thinking about them, and we'll continue to do that.
Awesome. That's great. I think it's important to follow up like that. Kate, we're going to, Katie, come to you and talk about your topic there a little bit. What I think of when I read about in the chat, I saw the wines and wins, is the kind of building a culture where it's safe to speak up, or where it's safe to express. And maybe that's what you're going to talk about. I don't want to usurp it. Go ahead, Katie. Tell us how it goes.
Yeah, truly, that's it. We just do We have it live, like at the beginning, end of rehearsal, anytime we have to kill time, we do it. And everyone loves it. It's so sweet. We've heard of pregnancies, buying houses, we've heard of, someone in my family died, like everything. So quite the gambit. I just start that now. It's so easy. It's so easy. Oh, what a great one. I see Terry's hand up. Go, Terry.
All right. Just something else that we've done for feedback. We have an annual member interview. Takes some organization to
Right, I remember this.
But every other year, Joe Security Director spends half hour with every member of the chorus over 6 weeks. It's scheduled. They were in person. The last 2 years they've been on Zoom calls. The opposite years, the members meet with their section leaders for half an hour. There's a short survey, maybe a little longer than the monthly pulse survey, asking some general things that are then discussed in the meeting, but it gives the opportunity to actually hear from the member. And Shruti, of course, then reads the notes of all the interviews, even on the year he doesn't, and he makes a list of, this year we need to make sure this person gets involved in that, and this idea came from this person, make sure we do that, and so forth. And we give our action item list for the year.
So to me, the big picture of this is make sure that there's somebody in your chapter that's paying attention and notices when somebody doesn't show up. Whether it's membership, whether it's marketing, whether it's the director. We a couple of years ago went through and called people who dropped out of the society. And so many times I heard from you were the only person that noticed that I dropped out of the society. Like, what? How did your chapter not notice? Right? It's really on the chapter to notice when people aren't showing up. And to me, it starts with a lot of the sites you register, your intention, whether you can show up to this rehearsal or not. So, like last Thursday, I didn't show up to rehearsal, but they knew I wasn't coming because I was away for work. Right. And next Wednesday, they know I'm not coming because I'm away for work. So they don't have to check in with me. I've already told them. Right. But if they're not telling you or you're not noticing, that's a problem. So however we do it, we need to make sure that's a leaky bucket. We got to fill those plugs.
And I'm going to wrap in music leadership here too, because it's one thing for the music VPs to be reaching out, and whether it's the alumni outreach, Jim, thank you for putting that one out there. That was great. But when there's a certain gravitas to most directors, maybe not everyone, but most directors, they have a certain gravitas. And when a director calls you, you have like, oh my gosh, like I can't, like, it's almost like the boss is calling. I have to answer that. So when that passionate, caring outreach is coming from the director, hey Steve, just noticed we haven't seen you in a few weeks. Really, really love seeing you in the bass section is great. I think that just has a certain impact. So if culturally this is something that you can pull off, let's face it, directors aren't necessarily getting paid to do all these additional things, but when they do, it just has such a huge impact on retention. It's great.
I like that being the second or third. So if they don't show up for the first week, it's membership. They don't show up for the second week, it's membership. They don't show up for a third week, it's the director. Sort of that escalation.
We usually call their mother, and then we let their mother call them, and that works.
Have their mother call. Yeah,
that works great.
Too.
And a lot of them they put.
Where are you?
Tracy does that with our two boys. Like each time, you missed Caldwell again. What are you doing? I was shoveling snow. That's not important.
That's funny.
Yeah. So let's go back out there. So these are, hopefully people are like, you're getting some ideas. A lot of this is not in a manual. You're not going to read this in the music VP manual or the membership manual, but I think just hearing some of those intangible things that you do, whether you're designated the marketing VP, the music VP, what I'm hearing, like I see music VP on someone's name and I don't hear music VP stuff. Yeah. I'm hearing just like good-hearted, hardcore membership type of stuff. And I don't care what your title is. You have the right and the ability to do all these types of things. So Jim was adding. So Jim, you sent me the direct message, but thank you for that. Trying to get to go out to karaoke night. So David, can you? So that is an interesting idea. It's something I once called the karaoke ambush. So for you, it's an open mic ambush where you would come up and you would tell the band or the DJ like, "Hey, take a 5-minute break. We got this." Take over the microphone. So can you talk a little bit about your experience with that?
Me, David Kelly?
Yes, you, David.
Okay. My first experience with an open mic night, I went to a bar in Wrightsville, PA, which is between between Lancaster and York. And in walks Last Men Standing, international competitors.
Cool.
They walked in and said, "Hey, open mic night. Can we go up and sing one?" "Oh, sure." You'll be up in 2 acts. So there's some guy up there with a guitar singing into a microphone, and there's probably 35, 40 people in the bar, and they're all chatting amongst each other, having drinks and not really paying attention to what's going on stage. The song ends, they all kind of turn towards the stage and clap. "Hey, that was nice." The next guy gets on, same type of thing. Nobody's really paying attention to what's on stage. They're listening and they're enjoying it, but nobody's really watching what's going up on stage. Last Man Standing gets up there and everybody's kind of like, what's this? They start singing some songs and all conversation stops. And everybody's looking to see what's going on the stage, and they're just loving it.
That's cool.
So I'm thinking you get an international level quartet up there, that's gonna get people's attention.
Turn heads.
I brought my quartet. We score in the mid to upper 50s, and we decided to go to an open mic night. And I'll be darned if the same thing didn't happen. Guys up there with the guitars. Yeah.
I was going to say the same exact thing. It doesn't need to be an international level quartet.
No,
you could be singing in the 50s, and like you're saying, and you're getting that same response.
Yeah.
And it's good to bring a 5th person along to basically work the crowd.
Yeah.
And there you go. Larry Miller, go ahead.
Cool story, Dave.
I'm follow other types of music too. I like band music, and I've discovered a band over in Japan. It's an all-girls band that dances when they play. I mean, it's an incredible band. But to get the exposure and get everybody knowing about them before they started competing, they go out at the drop of a hat and just march down the street and play stuff and do their routines and so forth. And they always have crowds. Over in this band is from Kyoto, Japan, and they have apparently narrow streets in the city that they have put roofs over the streets between the storefronts, and they don't allow traffic, but there's huge crowds of people in those. It's like a giant mall, and they'll go out and it's only I think a block or two from their school, and they'll have a practice, and they decide they'll go out and they start marching down the street, and they go starting through this mall, and they go from one end to the other, and they do this all the time. And I believe they're out, they're doing their routines from what I read, a couple of times a month. They'll just go out and do this constantly, and they must have tremendous exposure. Now, of course, since 2014, I think they've gotten to the point where they win the national championship every time, and they're now have a title of the most entertaining band in the world, and it's an incredible thing. If you ever get a chance, go on YouTube and watch one or two. They must have 50 videos on there. But the point that I wanted to make was they just go out and march and do their thing, do their routines, and everybody seems to like it, love it.
And so they kind of got out of their comfort zone of just being with themselves or whatever, or performing or practicing or whatever they did, and they went outside and they did stuff outside in public, and they're good, which is important, right? To be good, but
They're very good. They
and
practice
that's awesome.
They practice 7 days a week.
Yeah, there you go, boy. I
And
had
so
that kind of
one of
time.
the practices, they'll just go out and do this.
That's awesome.
And
Rob, you don't have to be fabulous though. I remember we were getting ready for a novice, at a quartet that we were getting ready for to sing for the novice contest. We only had one other rehearsal before that, and it was really hot in our quartet mate's apartment in the city. So we decided to go just sing on the street. We had a crowd of 50 people. It was our second rehearsal.
Right.
Like, we were singing okay, but we weren't singing great.
Right.
And we did end up winning the novice contest, but still, we were not fabulous.
Yeah, that's true. You have to have enough of this stuff, but how much is enough of this stuff is,
but that's how you get good.
Yeah, exactly.
And we didn't have a repertoire. We were only singing 2 songs. That was it. We had 2 songs to sing.
It's like, okay, we'll take requests. We'll either sing song A or song B, you pick. All right. Very good. Okay, cool. So I have a note from Christian. He's got another topic to bring to us.
Well, it's actually, so it's
I'm not
building...
surprised.
Yeah, you just put time on the clock, I'll fill it.
Yep.
This brings up a really interesting point, and David Kelly kind of got to there of, you had a high-level international quality quartet, has a certain audience reaction. You put up a more non-international level quartet, but a more approachable quartet for many of our groups on our choruses that we see day in and day out, similar type of reaction. So I hear a lot in these types of sessions of musical quality, of you need to be singing at a certain level before you go out in public and make sure, it's presentable and things like that. And I want to open up, I'm not going to give you my opinions, I do have one, but I want to open up kind of a conversation dialogue on that. And I'm going to share a video. Some of you may have seen this before. This is an epic Paul Ellinger hook for you. First, I'm going to show the video and just get your impressions of the video. And then we're going to actually look at the YouTube comments on the video itself and see what the world at large thinks of this. And I will just express to you that this is a scene like pre-pandemic that you would probably see 40 to 50 times a week, given our groups that are out there. So that the name of the video, do you see my screen? The YouTubes. So it says, Old Men Singing at Tim Hortons. If you're not familiar, Tim Hortons is like the Dunkin' Donuts of Canada. Don't tell them I said that because they get really offended. They love their Tims. I love Tim's. But so here is Old Men Singing at a Tim Hortons. We're not going to watch the whole video, but I just want you to think, if you were on a judging panel, where would your head be on this?
The audio cut out.
Oh, really?
And now the video cut out.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to share the whole. Okay, got it. All right.
So we're watching the Bengals game.
And now it's the Bengals game. Oh, okay. That explains a lot. Christian, that's the Bengals game. You're sharing the wrong thing. That explains a lot. There you go.
So now that NFL Today is over and we did get back to our regularly scheduled program, that is the scene in like every Afterglow ever, right? I mean, that is like your average chapter, your average Afterglow. So, Terry, you've been to barbershop contests before, I think, a couple times. Just being generous, what kind of number would you throw on? Can you feel the love tonight? North or south of 50?
North of 50.
Okay, north or south of 55?
A little bit north
North
of
of
50.
55.
Yeah.
Okay.
Around
So-
60.
Right. So if we were,
And
if
actually,
we
they
were,
weren't actually as bad as I thought you were going to show.
Yeah.
okay. But I mean, but this is average. This is
Yeah.
this is our world. So I've heard from some people, and I'll continue to share the screen share. I'll go back to hopefully the right screen this time. Look at the view count, if you can see that. I'll make it a little, see if I can make it a little bigger. 1,163,767.
Wow.
Right. Couple more people than we have in our society.
A couple more. And so first off, Walk Off the Earth, which is, they're a band that I follow who are just amazing. They're Canadian. I love their stuff. They have millions and millions of followers. It just makes me happy. That is all. Look at the next one.
I love it.
7 years ago. I'm 17 and I listen to this whenever I feel down. It's such a sweet thing. It makes me appreciate the older generation. Just wonderful. Are you kidding? Like, hopefully you just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like I did. Like, these are just old guys at Tim Hortons singing a song. So, and you go through, and there's a couple, there will be a couple comments from barbershoppers that you will see on here, and they're the only snarky ones in the whole thing.
Right.
Love
Right.
their spirit, song and friendship.
Right.
These guys make me smile. How beautiful. Like, love. They got an album, I buy it 100%. Love. So, for me in this conversation, it gives me empowerment to say, get out and sing. Now, I'm not saying like go sing crappy, but go out and what am I seeing there? I'm seeing just camaraderie, friendship, love, singing.
Yep.
So from a membership marketing music perspective, song selection. Can you feel the love tonight? Good song, singable chart. People identify it. We've sung it in public a bazillion times. People love it. So song selection is great. And just being true to yourself and who you are. So I wanted to just throw that out there for conversation. Not the game, by the way. The Chiefs are up 21-10.
And you want to know what, Christian? That's not the only video like that out there. Right. This is not, oh, you picked the one thing to show. No, I mean there's another one where there are guys on an airplane that have well over 1 million views.
Right.
I think it was Port City Sound, I think.
And as opposed to these guys who I think were probably singing closer, mid 60s, closer to a 70. The other guys were really singing in the 40s.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe 50. And everybody loved it. They got 1 million views on YouTube. You know, and like as a barbershopper, you're like, oh my God. But that's not the way the public sees us.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that we could like learn some songs and learn how to sing them, and then we could go out in public and we could sing them out in public, like just sitting on a table? You've got to be kidding me.
What do you know?
Like that works?
That works.
I mean,
cool.
there is a devil's advocate to that. I mean,
9.4 million views. Which one?
And that's what I want to hear. So
Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
so I'm.
Oh, that's exactly what I was talking about. Port City Sound, 9.4 million views. Katie found it. Thank you, Katie.
Let's let Terry have a turn.
Yeah. So, I mean, nothing against anything that's great. Get out and sing. It's a little different if you are going out and representing the chorus for the purpose of getting people to come to your shows or to get members, depending on who you're targeting. If you want quality level singers, then you need to have a group that's at least in the neighborhood of the quality. Yeah. If you're targeting 20-something experienced singers, they're going to hear that and say that's sweet, but they're not going to come and join you.
Right.
So it's all in the context of how it's doing. Sing if you have to do, yeah. Stand on the corner and sing, absolutely. But if you're going out and now we have a performance from our chapter to sell yourselves, that's a little different level, and you probably want. I haven't heard it recently, but back in the day, people talked about the Kiwanis 50 being the Kiwanis level, that you wanted at least to be able to ring a few chords and hit the 50 level to go out for the general public. And depending on where you are and what you're trying to sell, then your Kiwanis level might be a little higher than that.
Yeah, and it goes back to where we started this conversation: is who you are and who do you want to be, And that's what you need to be projecting to the public.
If you are a chapter that is, you're preserving barbershop by getting together and singing and enjoying each other's company, and you go out and sing and people want it, then absolutely, more power to you. That's awesome. But yeah, all part of the factor in considering it in there.
Larry's raising his hand again. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, one short comment. That would also help very much with sponsorships, because I noticed the people that we deal with that sponsor us want to know how much public service work we do. I mean, that's the number one major question.
You know, Larry, also when you're marketing for grants. So I talk about in marketing, you're not just always marketing for membership, but you're marketing for grants too. And doing those outreach, you know, singing in the community, all those things are re-grants. So they need to, when they're giving you money, they need to report up what community the people they gave money to is reaching. So if we're singing in a park, we're reaching the community. That's their perfect pitch, right? So all of those things, it hits on so many of the things that we want to do when you're out singing, right? Whether you're getting paid or not getting paid for it.
Right.
Well, and the other element I just want to bring out, and I will hear the myth. We have a product problem. People don't want to hear what we sing, or people don't want to sing what we sing. I don't believe it.
Right.
And East Coast Sound, which I'm pretty familiar with, they're picking older songs. They're not picking Ed Sheeran stuff. One of their new songs is an absolute standard from the 20s and 30s. It's a phenomenal arrangement of an old song. They're singing the old songs. They love it. Read through. I'm like telling you, take these two videos, put them up on another browser. Don't share a screen because that could be embarrassing. But read the comments. This is just the general public watching these videos, and Port City Sounds are great. I mean, the one I just put up there, I'm like, oh my God, that is like everything. It is so good. And I'll hear from people. We have a chapter of older guys, and we have a hard time attracting younger people. We just had this conversation. I literally had it yesterday. How are you going to attract a 38-year-old, a 40-year-old to want to sing with a bunch of old white guys? The answer for me is that was me. I mean, and now I've gone haywire with this thing. That was me. I grew up without a father. True story. I'll let you into my house here. I grew up without a father. So I'm hanging out with guys who were literally showing me how to use tools I didn't know existed. We're building things. Like, I found a community that I didn't have outside of barbershop. Not once in my 14, 15 years have I ever thought, well, I don't belong here. I'm too young. I'm too cool for these guys, you know, etc. Like, you have something to offer. Don't have the fear that what you have to do and have to offer is inferior and younger people won't be interested. Just my hunch.
Cool. Does anybody else want to weigh in or talk? Anyone from the chapters who are here, who we've not heard from yet? Nancy, come on, you have something for us, I'm sure.
Posting in the chat. I don't know if anybody's reading all this stuff.
I'm following along. It's good stuff.
Yeah, Nancy's coming off of mute. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay. Yeah, my introduction to barbershop like 27 years ago was kind of a surprise. It's like I really did not. I honestly, I was in my late 30s or my very early 40s at the time. You know, an experienced chorus singer, but not in barbershop. And I don't know where I got the idea. Now, understand this is back in Sweet Adeline land. I somehow got the impression that Sweet Adelines was made up of nothing but ladies with blue rinses. Y'all know what a blue rinse is?
No.
Some of you do. Okay, back in the old days when dinosaurs roamed the earth, the ladies had hair color similar to mine, didn't exactly rock their silver, but
Got it.
they put this stuff on it and it would make their hair look blue or purple, not in the fashionable way it does now. It was very distinctive, and it screamed old, boring. Not going to go there. So make a long story short, I wound up in a car and I'm going to cross the American Legion Bridge as a passenger. And that's when they told me I was going to a barbershop course. I was like, oh, great, yay, whoopee. Well, I had a tremendous time.
Yeah.
It certainly didn't hurt that there was, this is Potomac Harmony Chorus. Ozzy Mask, who many of you know is an absolute treasure and a character beyond all. And she had a coach in that day, and that was Betty Tracy Clipman. Some of you all may know her as well. And it was like, I want to do this. I was hooked at that moment, and I've been singing barbershop ever since.
Right.
I mean, just sometimes it's just, you know, the stars align.
Right. And that's
But,
a great story. That's fantastic. Can I ask you a question
Yeah,
about
sure.
your chapter and about your singing? Do you have events outside? Do you go outside? Do you sort of try to trick people to come in and to experience that?
Okay, now you're talking about Harmony Express now?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, we sing outside. We performed in a Thanksgiving Day parade in
there you go.
Silver Spring. We did 2 performances at the Rio, which is in where Germantown and Gaithersburg kind of come together. Big shopping area, big promenade area. One performance was a stage performance, and the other one was we were just walking around, and we would stop and we'd sing a couple of Christmas carols, and then we'd wander a little more and we'd stop and we'd sing Christmas carols. And we had a tremendous time. And, you know, we had people come up. Our president's spouse, she, you know, had basically handout material, but of course, Omicron came right after Christmas. So I really don't know if anything happened with any of those people she talked to or not, but perhaps. And let's say every year we perform at the Montgomery County Fair. Again, kind of the strolling promenade thing. You know, we'll walk a little bit, sing a few songs, walk a little bit, sing a few songs. And that's actually how I ran into Harmony Express. I wasn't looking for a BHS chorus. I heard them singing at the Montgomery County Fair. And it's like my ears perked up. It's like, ooh, barbershop. Walk out of the booth I was working at. It's like, ooh, hi, I sing barbershop. This is neat. Cool. And then we kind of huddled together and figured out, okay, here's a couple of songs that we know in common.
Yeah.
So sang along with them, and their membership officer mentioned to me, oh, the society is looking at opening choruses to women, and we're looking at opening our chorus to women. Keep us in mind. And I kept them in mind, and here I am.
Okay, cool. All right,
I really love Nancy's description of that.
Yeah.
Because that is how you get welcomed into things. And I love also the fact that as you walk around, you do things. Now, let me hearken back to one of the things Christian said about community. We get a quartet, we go out, we sing the national anthem at a very nice thing. We do this because we're known in the community. And it's because we sang it at this celebration, that celebration. One song, the national anthem, has got us on there. We sang it at the turkey trot on Thanksgiving morning. It makes the newspaper. This is really fantastic. And it's a simple, straightforward, everybody can sing it arrangement of the national anthem. It isn't Eclipse. It isn't something weird where we're trying to worship ourselves. We are sending the message across with a very straight homophonic sound. That is our business. That is where we are strong. And we do that, and we do it frequently. It really works. And as far as tying things into grants, That's what gets us grants. It's been successful because we serve the community with what we can do, not what somebody thinks, oh, wouldn't this be cool if we come up with a grand new arrangement with the Star Spangled Banner? No, stick to what got us there. Stay with the date you brought to the dance.
I mean, that's out there too. You know, the my quartet twisted mustache. We when we started, we would go out in black suits or tuxedos, or if you want, we could wear a the red and white striped vest and a boat or how. Yeah, that's what we want. And we in the beginning we gave people options, and 100%, not even 99%, 100% of our gigs wanted the boater hats and striped vests.
Really?
And as barbershoppers, we would run from that image. We were like, oh no, not that, right? But we gotta embrace who we are.
It's recognizable. It's a brand that's recognizable.
A recognizable brand. We walk down the street, people say, oh, a barbershop quartet. I bet you're a barbershop quartet. I'm like, I bet you're right.
Good guess.
And if I can build off of that, one of the things, we have so much insecurity about this thing that we do. Yes, we're weird, we're nerds, whatever you want to call it. So, and some of you heard me tell this story before. So what do I do for a day job? Barbershop. No, outside of that, I'm the insurance regulatory and tax consulting practice for the Americas for Marsh & McLennan Company's multinational division. And I sing barbershop. I do that at work several times a week. And every single time with all these Fortune 500 clients, whether it's CFOs or whoever, when I drop it, they're like, wait, did you, like quartets, like Music Man? I'm like, yeah, every single time. Oh my God, that's so awesome. We spend 15 minutes talking about barbershop, and then we get to the real nerdy stuff, which is international tax and regulation in the world of insurance. And to the point that was brought up, you never know who's in your world. And just true life examples of, Tracy and I are very big advocates of, we will talk about this all the time. Two people in general we run into in public. When we had the storm that came through New Jersey this summer and dumped an unprecedented amount of rain and completely destroyed areas of Hunterdon and Somerset counties, we were actually unscathed here, but we saw people on Facebook that were in need. One woman had her sump had backed up in her basement and she had some issues. We have a couple of dehumidifiers in ours, so I'm like, hey, we'll run them over to this woman. So we take our dehumidifiers over to this nice older woman. And when we walk in, I notice it's just her in the townhouse, and she has a picture of her and an older gentleman and a cake with music notes and stuff on the cake. So just as we're unloading the stuff, I'm like, oh, are you a musician? Do you play piano? She's, no, actually, I used to sing in Sweet Adelines. Do you know what that is? No, what is that? Tell me about you. It's like, holy crap. So she hasn't been singing for 15, 20 years. Her husband was sick, so she had to take care of him and things, and now she's free. And I don't know if that's going to turn over into a guest, but just going on that, like, I saw a cake with a music note on it. I've seen tattoos with music notes and treble notes or whatever, or treble keys, whatever you people call them. And I'll just spark the conversation somehow and get it going. And I don't care. And Paul Ellinger, I love Paul. Like, he does this on planes. Like, he has probably so many people of note for people all over the planet that he's talked to about barbershop because he's sitting next to them and he saw that they were reading something about music. So kind of what am I taking away from this? Talk about it. Stop being embarrassed. Stop thinking like, oh, people don't want to hear this nerdy thing. So to Steve's point, it's fun. It's pop culture. Is it cool? Probably not. But it's fun. It is definitely out there in the common vein. So hopefully you're empowered a little bit with those stories. Did they leave us or did we leave them? Well, she left them because her husband had cancer and she, wanted to take care of him for a while. And it was a long ride. Sadly, and it didn't end well. But, she's free. So we're hoping to stay in touch.
The comment had to do, Kristen, with your comment about how many former BHS, SAI, and HI people are around. Why are they not with us? Did they leave us or did we leave them?
Most of the ones that I've run into, and maybe it's just what they select to tell me, unequivocally, what I will hear is that something in life took them away from the hobby.
Or
I left
somebody, or
choruses
some,
because of the music selection. It was no longer homophonic.
so going back to those calls, sometimes I heard life, but for the most part, it was that it was boring, that nobody noticed that I left, that I had a fight with somebody in the chorus. I don't like my director. Got that a lot. So I'm like, there's other choruses you could go to. Thought about that, but nah. And and then others were like, oh, I sort of like got out of the habit and forgot.
Got
Nobody
busy
called.
doing something else.
No, got busy doing something else. Nobody called.
Yeah.
Nobody called. Nobody noticed. And then one of them, I saw one of my good friends on the list, and I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. I dropped out of the society. I'm like, I'm picking you up on Tuesday. You're coming with me to chorus. And he came back to the society. That was Pat Kelly. I dropped out.
It's an interesting comment that Susan just posted. Susan, you want to talk about that for a minute? Would you be comfortable coming off of mute and telling us a little bit about that comment?
Yes, sure. So I had been living in DC for over 20 years, and I have been in a mixed chorus for the last few. But my husband and I have just moved to 2 hours west of there, and there are really, and actually, we have a place in Ohio and also a place in Florida. I looked for chapters that were mixed choruses in every location, and there were none. So I'm still affiliated with the Northern Virginia chapter, that the Arlingtons, and they won't let me go because I'm the VP for membership, and I also do most of the marketing and the online tech stuff and all that other good stuff.
Right.
I'm a woman of 6 hats. So when I told them that I was, probably going to drop off because I now live in West Virginia, they said, "Oh no, you can't." But like I said, I did my due diligence to look to see if there are any local chapters, and there are really none, and that's really sad. I would love to see, because there's so many opportunities to do open mic out here. And my quartet was not willing to travel to meet me halfway an hour. So yeah, it's been difficult. I'm dying to get into another quartet and another chorus again, but is there any chance that that more choruses will be opening up to women?
That's a hard answer.
I can do that. I can speak to that.
Go for it.
Hi, Susan. So what's so interesting about this whole thing is, the announcement was in 2017 for EIH. Then women were officially welcome to become members in 2018. And so literally there was like about, a year. And here's the thing, like I said, that's exactly what happened with me. I was like, oh, well, I want to be in a BHS chorus 100%. My option was to make one, like truly, that was it for now, because you're right, they don't exist yet because we've only been around for a little bit. So I hope that what I think we, especially as women or female presenting people that are I'm going to say non-male people that are in the society now, we have to really be instead of kind of looking around saying there's nothing here, we have to be the ones kind of saying, I'm going to start something, or either I'm going to start some sort of mixed group, or see if there's something going on. And if you ever want to talk about starting something, let me know. There are a lot of non-male people that will talk about this. And there's a lot of opportunities, but right now we do have to start creating kind of from scratch. And that is, but I will say that is okay. Like in theory, back in 1938, the gents did as well. So we're now doing that too. And it is beautiful that we are actually even welcomed and supported here, truly. And it's incredible. I mean, just everything that the mission, the vision is saying with BHS, like we really are so welcome here. You know, it's just now we as the leaders have to kind of make that. So if you want to chat, I will talk with you all day on this, and we can talk about that. I feel you though. I felt that legit. I felt that in 2018, and then I bothered Sean, and I'm like, hey, want to do 2 choruses, 1 chapter, because I'm obsessed with Parkside and I kind of want to copy everything you do. And he's like, yeah, and there we go. Like,
Where is Parkside?
It's in Hershey, PA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you, Katie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll
There's another woman in our chapter that lives she lives actually closer to me than the other chapter. And she's definitely interested for a number of reasons to start our own chapter. So
there you go.
I will definitely reach out to you.
Perfect. I'll DM you my email right now.
We could be watching the birth of something amazing right
I was just thinking that.
Hey.
We just saw a chapter be birthed.
Exactly.
That's how it happens, man. That's how it happens.
And if I can help give you just a little bit more of a nudge, so just Tracy's like walking in on cue. So in Hunterdon, we took a look at what we have, and we saw an opportunity to get more singing, and we've grown to add a second chorus to our community. So there's lots of, just like Katie did with a women's chorus within Parkside, within their chapter. You know, I want to leave everybody with, there are no limits as to what you can or can't do when it comes to chapter structures now. We went a little bit bonkers, and it's pretty awesome with what we're doing. It's very different from what most groups have done to create kind of this choral community that we're doing here in New Jersey. But whether it's adding a women's chorus and having a men's chorus, and then you do some things together, Gotham's following that model as well. Whether it's just taking an existing men's chorus and adding female voices into the TTBB, the Virginians are doing that. Whether it's going, Somerset Hills went from TTBB to SATB, Hunterdon's adding another chorus. So you can see, like, there's just all different varieties to it. So I don't know if there's any opportunity to talk to any of the choruses in your area, the chapters in your area, to see if they're willing to back an effort for a second chapter. They can help you with that, but Katie is definitely your go-to resource on what is possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I predict. My guess is in another 5 years post-pandemic, there will be a lot more of those opportunities.
Yes.
Katie, there's a question about how you become a new chapter, or the requirements for a new chapter. You want to speak to that?
I'm 99% sure it's actually now 8. Yeah. I think it's 8
and I think
to charter.
And I think new or non-barber shoppers, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 2 years out, so they haven't been a member for 2 years, counts as a new barber shopper. I think that's.
I think so. I think
that's when we started Gotham. That's what it was.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And you want to know what? They really don't look at your new members.
Yeah, exactly.
So these new barber shoppers. I mean, I don't want to spill any secrets, but we basically took friends of members and paid their membership for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Get our new members.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ways around. There's ways around those minimum new member thing.
Yeah.
But also, Susan, what there's more opportunities than when we started Gotham now, because you could start a new chorus under an existing chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you don't.
Which is
it's
the
much harder
ever.
to start a new chapter.
Yes.
Than it is to start a new chorus under an existing chapter.
So, 1,000,000%.
You know, and also, you know, Hunterdon was well funded, and they're helping out Vocal Synergy from a financial point of view to get started. So they basically gave the chorus startup funding.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Seriously.
You know, so there's lots of opportunities to start new stuff.
Yep.
So I wanted to actually, there was another topic I wanted to broach here. It's kind of, we've talked a little bit about, you know, we've sort of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to share something that I had experienced with the Bucks County chapter a few years ago with my quartet representing the chapter, Cross Keys Connection. So we had what I would call a fusion event, right? One of the things I did with my son when he was younger is he was a Cub Scout, and I happened to be the Cub Scout leader. So it was kind of interesting because we were able to, I was like, hey, wow, this is cool. So we can sing for them. How do we sing for the Cub Scouts and expose them to the singing? There's another group, there's a retirement village that is not far from here, Pine Run, and they were having a Christmas, thing that they were going to hire us for. I said, well, wait a minute. How about we do this? Why don't we come as a quartet and we'll sing for you, but we'll also bring the Cub Scout pack and they'll also sing for you, and we'll sing some stuff for you, and then we'll all sing some stuff for you, and we'll kind of put it all together. So it was kind of like in my mind, I called that a fusion event because we fused like 3 different events all into the same event, and it was great. Of course, everyone was happy about it, and the audience was entertained and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see the cute little boys, and they'd love to hear good singing and all that. They probably loved the Cub Scouts better than we did, but it did something for the Cub Scouts as well, because that was an activity that helped them earn a badge of participation, a society thing and whatnot, right? I think if we were to think about, and I come back to the concept of my concept of this session about VP of music, VP of marketing, VP of membership, right? And to think about how we use our superpowers to do our superpower thing together, like as a fusion event, to do what? To satisfy our singers, to do really cool stuff, to reach people, maybe different people in different pools, right? And all that sort of thing. What are some ideas that we can do like that? That's one idea, but there could be so many other fusion events, I think. I would like to explore if anyone's had any thoughts like this, or if that triggers anything. Anyone on the panel, anyone in the chapters, what do you think about that stuff?
So there was something in the chat, I'm trying to go back up, about connecting up with a symphony orchestra, a wind symphony.
There you go.
So whomever that was, I'm trying to go back. It was like, wow, there's a lot in the chat. So whoever was that did that, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Wind ensemble.
Yes.
Terry, didn't the harmonizers do that?
We have done several collaborative events with other arts organizations and other men's. We did with the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington and the Men's Camerata some events. So we have I talked a few times with the local symphony. We have not made that happen yet, but the general concept of Rob's idea works with about any arts organization or other organization, but particular to have a collaborative event. There's always inviting high school groups on your shows and stuff like that, but find out who are the other arts organizations in your community and look for an opportunity to either get together and formally sing or do something together. Rob hinted to it, but that's how another way to become better known in your community. Because you get exposed to each other's existing fans as you do things like this.
And what do you know? Maybe their fans might be your fans.
Exactly.
Their members might be your members.
Exactly.
Just because they're playing the flute, that doesn't mean they don't sing too. They probably could read music better than most of us.
Katie, your thoughts on that? Have you been able to do anything like that? I mean, you perform with Parkside Harmony, of course, but
yeah,
not yet.
True, honestly, not yet, because we were live for a year.
I know, I get it.
Yeah, so I'll pass.
There's more to come.
Yeah.
One other, it hasn't happened yet, but one of our guys pursued with a local veterans organization that provides services for veterans. We're taking the model of a day-long youth festival and applying it to veterans who just want a singing experience.
There you go.
So we'll let you know how that works. But the concept of just people who want to sing for a day, which we're better known in the community, more people know about us. people enjoy singing, and who knows, we may or may not get any members out of it.
Cool. Yeah, those kinds of things can be used for general goodwill purposes as well. It's like, oh, we have this in our community too. I never knew it existed. That sort of thing. Both ways.
But to that point, so we have 100, and we do a lot of collaborations and partnerships. So one is our big holiday show. We have partnered up with the high school orchestra, who is phenomenal. They're usually 60, 70 deep. Rob, you helped us mic them up this year, which was great. What we've seen from that is a lot of, so first of all, engagement with the students, which is phenomenal. Also gets us free rent, which is not a bad deal. Helps with our audience. The marketing, we sold a lot of tickets to parents and their families and things like that, which helped. But what you'll hear from all of us talking about marketing is its number of impressions and the number of times people experience your brand. The more they do, and you're just kind of like pecking away, and hopefully at some point they're going to break. So a lot of these parents have kids who are in high school. Pretty soon, those kids are going to be in college. Pretty soon, they're not going to be in college anymore. They might be looking for something to do. So as they're experiencing your brand, you might be getting just one more impression upon them of, hey, here's something you can do with your time when you get done. Or someone like Tracy, who didn't think she could sing and said, you know what, this is something I want to do. And she went out and did it. And now I can't hold her back. It's pretty insane. So I think those partnerships, you don't know what it's going to lead to, but there is literally no downside other than effort and making that outreach.
And little by little, we become a little less invisible.
Yeah.
There we go.
Jim, I just wanted to go out to Jim Scully, if you'll come off mute and just share a little bit of what your Cherry Hill, I believe, the kind of wind ensemble experience and any wins that you got out of that. What was the
All right, guys, quiet, please. Yes. So it was a couple of years ago, and we reached out to a local wind ensemble, and we ended up doing like a 4th of July concert together, and we shared the venue. Basically, they did 30 minutes and we did 30 minutes, and the idea was basically we would then be able to share marketing abilities. So we would send out email blasts about their events and vice for us. Didn't result in any membership opportunities directly. And ironically, it's also the time when I actually left the Pine Barrens and went to the Brothers for a year and a half. Over that actual program, that's unfortunately because wheels got pulled from under me, but little bad, but but then again, the idea was again just by get cross training into the different musical venues. Again, you instead of us just sending out random marketing stuff like that, we're either tapping our own people we already know, they're already barbershoppers, or again, this way at least we get people that are in the musical area, and then maybe you might get somebody that might be a choral influence or something like that. They may be an instrumentalist. So
yeah, Jim, I'm going to pick up on the last one, and you put it in the chat as well. So it's funny you say that. So 100 years, before the pandemic, we wanted to have offering voice lessons and voice instruction for all of our members. So Joe Monahan was instrumental in our program at that point, and he reached out, kind of networked, and found some kid who had just graduated from Westminster Choir College, could use a little extra scratch. So we brought this Matt Marinelli dude in to help us with PVIs. So while the chorus is rehearsing, he would pull them aside and do some personal voice lesson for half an hour, and then we would kind of go through the chorus. Then we're like, this guy's pretty good. So we brought him in as an assistant director. We paid him. And guess who is now just taken over for Don Reckenbiel as the director of the 100 Harmonizers, as Don is heading to the land of no snow, mostly no snow in Florida, Matt Marinelli. So that exact element led to succession planning. Thank the Lord. We had that already in the works and in place, but from that kind of outreach that you're talking about. So for us, that was immensely successful, and Matt's great. We're in good hands. So
yeah, something I proposed, but again, it didn't have buy-in. Again, our course was in a transitional period, and we were growing and getting good and stuff like that. So again, obviously the director has to embrace it, and I was too ambitious at the time.
Yeah, if your director's not going to have buy-in, it's kind of hard to do things like that.
Yeah, it's board buy-in too, Jim, not just the director. It's got to be, everybody's got to be bought in all the way, and then the chorus has to be bought in. If we're not all saying yeah, that's a problem.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, so it's coming up on about 5 o'clock. I know we were scheduled to 5:30. We're sort of, the excitement level is kind of pining here a little bit. I mean, if there are any other questions that you guys have, that's great. If you want to bring something up or whatever, but I'll entertain a motion to stop whenever we're ready. We didn't take a break. I guess that's on purpose. Michelle, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to share a story real quick, and touches on a bunch of things that we've gone over. My son is in the chorus, and I wanted to have time with my son now that he's a grown up. And when Everyone in Harmony started, I was like, oh wow, yeah, I can sing with my son. And so I went, and they were happy to have me. I knew some of them already, and I learned all the songs and sang all the songs. And then they said, okay, I auditioned and I got in. Well, it came time for the first performance, and they're like, oh no, we're a men's only performance. And they said, oh, you can start a chorus if you want to. Well, I'm in Sweet Adeline's 24 years. I don't need a women's chorus.
All right.
Another one. I'm very happy in my other one. So that's not why I came anyway. I came to sing with you guys.
Yeah.
And so the next week I came in, and at break time, I said my spiel. Great time, but that's not what I came in for. So I'll see you. Well, come to find out, the music team was excited to have me because I went in on purposely knowing my stuff, so they wouldn't have that reason to not want me. And I was everything was perfect, going in, respectful, all this stuff. So because I knew I was the first woman. Anyway, well, come to find out, the music team loved me. The board did not. The board was like, oh no, we're a men's organization. Most of the board members at the time didn't even come to rehearsals.
Wow.
Yes. And so I said thank you and goodbye. And I did it on purpose. I knew what I was doing. I went in live, break time, and when I left, all hell broke loose. And what? Who said what? And so, a couple of days later, I got the phone call, and I was like, well, so now there's 4 women, and I'm
so
the
what you did is you tossed in a grenade.
I did, and now
Quite
I'm the assistant director. But that's one of the things, make sure that your teams are talking to each other, and what do you want and what do you not want, because you got to be all in and agreeing, or else you're gonna hurt people. I mean, it was very hurtful.
And Michelle, on behalf of the society, I apologize for your experience. But everyone in Harmony has been a tough transition for a lot of choruses. They never had to think about this before. Right
I
now,
knew
all
it
of a
was
sudden you
gonna
have to think about it. You have some, people are like, oh, we don't want this. Oh, maybe we want this. So it's been a harder path than.
Oh, I know, and I knew it was going to be. And I went in with that. I went in with, I told him, I said, I'm glad it was me that you had this hiccup with. And I went in already. I said, I'm good if you want to stay in men's chorus. I respect that.
Right.
I'm all for it, really. But if you're going to have me, have me.
Have you. That's right. You are absolutely right.
Right.
So yeah, certainly as leaders of our choruses, if you haven't formally talked about what happens if you're all one gender, and if you haven't had the discussion about what happens when someone of the other gender, or God forbid somebody transgender or non-binary, that you're prepared with how you're going to address that, and how you're going from a membership and from a performance level.
Have a plan.
And have a plan, exactly.
Right. Cool. Good. Thank you so much.
That brings up a kind of a sore subject as far as the trans people. There is a lady that would like to come sing with us. She has a solid baritone voice. And when I spoke with her, she says she's fine with leaving it as a men's chorus and would have no problem singing with a men's chorus. But even though she has a man's voice, it then precludes us from singing as a men's chorus in competition. So that has
Is she
brought up some,
transitioning from a woman to a man or a man to a
she is
woman?
not. She identifies as a woman. If she were to join the society, she would join as a woman. That would prevent us from singing as a men's chorus.
I'm, and I know there's something, there's been discussion back and forth for the last few years at exactly what the contest is going to be moving forward. Personally, I'm hoping that it's much more open just for that. So many transgendered and non-binary people are, for the first time in their with small s society, is finally giving them a place where they can start to feel comfortable and be their true authentic selves, and are open to that or having that opportunity. But then that puts pressure on the chorus and the person if they have to, if they want to sing in the men's division. But yeah, I'm hoping they go that way. But it's a challenge and an extra challenge to inclusivity for
Yes.
chapters.
Right.
Prior
It
to
should
Everyone
be-
in Harmony, there was no problem with that. It was a men's competition, and there were 2 transgendered people that sang on the district stage back in 2017
An international stage.
at the Mid-Atlantic district stage.
No. There were some at the international
Okay,
as well.
which is kind of exactly my point. I'm done.
I think the question has to be whether it's TTBB rather than SATB. And that should be the dividing, not the gender of the singers.
Or the percentage of singers, you know, is the chorus predominantly male? You know, is the chorus predominantly women? Is the chorus, you know, obviously mixed? But
And you as
we're still struggling. We're still struggling with this, right? You know, it's not so simple.
Yeah, separate from competition, you have the total power for your chapter and your chorus to define what makes sense for you and your membership, and to be as inclusive as possible. And
It's like, how many singers do you have? No, I didn't ask what type of singers. I asked how many singers you have. Just singers. We're all singers.
If it helps anybody too, with Parkside, we say Parkside Harmony used to say we are a men's chorus, but we now say, just to be sure that any future incoming non-binary person, trans person, or anybody who just like doesn't identify with the culture, the look, the voice, but ultimately voice type of either chorus, we now say that Parkside Harmony is a TB or low voice chorus, and Parkside Melody is a SA or high voice chorus. We interchange those words all the time. Now, what classification we choose ultimately, with the way that the contest is laid out now, that's what we have to decide. But we'll kind of see where that goes. So yeah, if that helps anybody, the shift is not hard at all to just literally replace men's, women's with SA and TB. And then if people need that explanation, you can say high voice, low voice.
And I'll piggyback, and some of this is on what Terry was saying. Just like with things in society, each people identify as what they identify with. This is who I am, and I think that can be true of your chorus and your chapter as well. So in Hunterdon, we have now an open voice chorus. I don't like saying a mixed voice chorus, because chorus, that's kind of redundant. What chorus is not mixed? Otherwise, if you have more than one voice, it's mixed. So I say open voice chorus is just what I like to say. If you can sing and you meet our musical needs, you're in. The struggle that we've had is the historical architecture of choral singing of SA is female and TB is male. We are trying to break through that, which sometimes we have to catch ourselves. All right, ladies, well, there might be guys singing alto. gentlemen, there are definitely, we have non-males singing, but so just referring to things by voice part is more comfortable for us, and not breaking things down on gender lines. Gender, in our view, in that chorus, is fully irrelevant. It just has no reason to be in the room whatsoever. So in the event someone comes in and identifies in some way, shape, or form, we love you, we embrace you, this is a place for you to sing, because that isn't being brought into the room. When it comes to our concert dress, we are wearing all black. Whatever that means for you, we want you to be dressed, formally, nicely, in all black. Whatever that means for you. We're not going to tell these people pants, these people blouses, these people this, these people that. You wear what you're... I want you comfortable as a singer. I don't want anything in your mind interfering between you and the director and the audience.
There you go. You need to wear clothes, and they need to be this color.
Clothes are good. Clothes are definitely good.
Okay, whatever that means to you, but covered.
But I mean, it's so for your choruses, these are relevant things to consider.
Pretty interesting.
100 chapter, we have talked about Everyone in Harmony since 2017, and we want to do it right. And I feel like we are.
Even the polo shirts, there are women's shirts, the style, and men's style, but everyone got to choose whatever kind they wanted. Didn't matter. So women chose men's style, but I labeled it as, this is what the fit is, this is how it looks, and you choose what shirt you would like and what makes you comfortable, and that's what I will get you.
We called it fitted and loose.
Yes, fitted. I was trying to form the words. Yes,
I like
because
that.
it's kind of like, this is how it is, and this is how it's going to fit, and then you choose.
I'll take a big loose one.
Hopefully that's where we go next is the costuming, because when we finally were allowed in, there's 3 of us on our first show, February, before the pandemic started. And all the guys were in their red and blue vests and big ties and all that stuff, and they had us wear all black. And so we looked like roustabouts. And so that's what we felt like too. So hopefully we'll hear, we haven't had a performance, and it's so whenever, but hopefully that gets there, because another thing is just have a plan, make a plan. Yeah, Christmas was easy because we had to sing outside and had Christmas stuff, holiday sweaters or whatever, red or whatever. But yeah, don't make them feel so stuck out.
And if they were doing a pulse check, they'd hear that from you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they don't.
There would be 1 in 3 chance they know who's saying that. But yes, I mean, so I'll just throw out there, Rob, if you don't mind, if people want to talk Everyone in Harmony, you have some resources here that are very comfortable in that world. I've gone through it now with 2 choruses starting up or making the transition from all male to open. You've got Katie, who's got experience both at the headquarters level and likewise in her chapter. You've got Terry, who's spoken on panels about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a big piece. What I'm proud of is just seeing this conversation and seeing that we're asking those questions. So David, thank you for asking the question. And rather than just be like, oh, well, we'll just kind of like figure it out, seeking resources, talking to people. I've learned so much in the last 2 years about these types of issues that I didn't realize I was completely ignorant on. And I'm thankful for those of you that helped me learn those things.
No, did that really make everybody silent?
I know. It's like, wow.
Wow.
Wow. Way to... I think, 2 hours on Zoom, you tend to start to peter out a little bit.
So Rob, do you want to talk to that? These are all recorded and where people.
Yeah, let me close us out with that. That's excellent. So, all right, so we're going to start to wrap up. I want to just point out, I'm going to share my screen here a little bit. I've covered this in all of the other sessions. Oh, we want to get rid of that. Here, let's get over here. So what we have here is I have just a Google browser. I'm going to go full screen. Okay, yep, there you go, walking across the tabs. I do have we have our own chapter here, our own Mid-Atlantic District YouTube channel here. All of these sessions all the videos from last year are actually recorded and posted here too. This year though, we green for this year. Just pick the color. So there's a couple of points here to this, and I gotta get that too. I need another tab here. Come here, give me another tab. All right, good. There you go. When you go to the Mid-Atlantic District of the Barbershop Harmony Society, sometimes you can find our Leadership Academy page. It's the Leadership Academy page is, you got this sort of code Leadership Academy. We've got a link here to our YouTube channel. And you've also got a link to online materials for sessions that had online materials. And actually what you might find in these materials is, I think I'll put a doc together with some of the links that we had in the chat here. I'll go and grab those. Thanks for putting those in there. Each session, of course, has its own link. You notice that tonight's, is, we have a session Zoom. It's the link to the meeting. When that's posted, you get the link to the actual YouTube session, right? So there it is. So I'm going to click on this materials, and I've been building this for a few years. So like I could go and look at chapter secretary, for instance, and you can see there's multiple years here and who taught the class. Here you can see VP of Music, and there's going back several years, right? So the material, the presentations, the content is all now here, and it's online and it's available. I guess I have 2 of those tabs left. And there's one last thing too. If you look at the About, so this is where on the YouTube channel is. This actually is a link directly to that Google Drive where the materials are. So this material is pulled together for you to reference. I tell you, if you look at the videos, a lot of these have, like, look, there's, 18 views or 21 views, 23 views. So people couldn't make it tonight, so this puts it available to them. This was a fantastic session, I thought. I learned a lot from this session. I'm really looking forward to, I'll post this, we'll advertise it's out here, once we've concluded, and we'll get it out there. I think that people will want to see this. I don't know if I'd be able to summarize what we did tonight, but I can try.
This was a good thing.
Yeah.
And a couple of days ago, we were wondering what we were going to do in this session, right?
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for commenting on that. This was actually a different format. It took me out of my comfort zone, to be honest, and while it's, I think, great to sing in person, to quartets getting back together, choruses getting back together, and Harmony College East, being together in person, being at Leadership Academy in person is always a good thing. Those are different kinds of events, but I have to say, having this option, doing this kind of a Zoom session, while tedious because it's long and we didn't take a break, on the other hand, this has been fantastic participation and great content.
Yeah.
So I want to especially thank the panel for being here tonight. So Terry, this afternoon, Terry Reynolds, thank you for being here, and thank you for the VP of Music session. Katie McDonald and Christian Hunter, thank you for your contributions from membership, talking also about marketing. And Steve, not to be least, but my goodness, Steve Skolnick, thank you for all of your ideas and concepts and contributions. Really fantastic. I think this was really a good year and a good session. Thank you, faculty. And I want to thank the chapters for being here as well, because we're here for you. And the whole point of why we do something like this is so that you have this as a resource, so that you network and make connections with people. And that, like, for instance, we might have the birth of a chapter happening. This is really fantastic. That networking would not have happened had you not chosen to come tonight. So I thank you, chapters, for being here and participating. And please share these links. Please share these YouTubes with other people in your chapters, that, hey, listen, we talked about a concept, and just take them right to it. So here, listen to this section for a minute and let's talk about it,
And if there's a class that you missed, I know Scott, texted me about my class. It's up on that YouTube channel. So you can go watch it. The handouts are there. I'm worried about those handouts being archived from year to year, because the class is always different, but the handouts aren't.
All right.
No, it's going to force me to update my handouts.
Does anybody have anything else they want to raise? We said our thank yous. I think we're ready to say our goodbyes. Anyone have anything else? Last minute comments?
Give you my love, oh my love. Try to give you all my love.